You know how they say a visitor, just like fish, starts to stink after 3 days? Christmas brings that into life. Hear me out. There's this excitement that comes with seeing family, cousins, uncles, aunties, distant relatives also. But then it gradually fades away. And by January, we are back to pretending like we don't even know each other. Also, why do we overspend on Christmas? Emphasis on overspend. Is it worth it? Or should we only focus on the joy of Christmas? One of the most exciting parts for me when it comes to Christmas is the long journey from your city of residence to likely your village or wherever you want to spend your Christmas. For me then, it was within the same state, and the whole journey was around 45 minutes. So I was staying in the city part of the state, and then I had to travel to my own local government. Just 45 minutes and I'm there. But you see, that 45 minutes was priceless. This breeze of Hamatan that will just be entering the bus that you are in, oh my God. Long traveling during Hamatan, it can be sweet though, if you have water with you, so that so that your throat will not dry up. And then we get to the village, we meet our cousins, we meet our nephews, our nieces, our distant cousins, the ones that we never see, the ones we only hear from every once in a year. Except, of course, there is that one distant cousin who decided to fix their wedding around June because they are trying to combat expenses. Yes, that's the only time that we get to meet those people. But aside from that, we only meet them every once in a year. December till December. Actually, January to December, because we usually stay from December to January. And then the next time we meet them is December. Sometimes we spend money. Like, not just spend money, we overspend money on a lot of things. There are a lot of ways in which you overspend money on Christmas. All that are part of what we are going to talk about on this episode. So for this episode, I grouped it into 5 different categories. The first one is the fun side of Christmas. Second one is the pressure to overspend. The third one, the emotional aftermath. The fourth one, how to keep the Christmas spirit alive. And then the fifth one, the bigger picture. So, without further ado, let's get started. Hi, welcome to Sometimes Curious, Often Confused. I'm Richard Okonwo. Mathematics is my study, but people are my passion. I'm not a pro, just someone who believes nobody has it all figured out. So, let's dive into the questions that make us curious and see where they take us. We are going to start with the first one, which is the fun side of Christmas. I like reconnecting with family members. It's so fulfilling. You get to meet them. You have likely not seen them for almost a year. Sometimes it's more than a year, like in the case of those relatives who don't usually show up every year. Sometimes it's for as long as 5-10 years. Not to mention those our relatives who are staying in very far cities. It's quite exciting, getting to meet them the first time. The excitement is there. You are meeting them, and then there is the grandparents, the uncles, the aunties. And let's just take a second now that I remember the uncle and the aunties. There is this weird thing that happens on social media. So we all have those uncles now. The ones that their profile pictures are usually up-close selfies that only shows their nose, their mouth, and their eyes. Yes, those uncles. You have been friends with them for a while on Facebook, even though we know that your privacy is set in such a way that they would never see any of your updates, because you don't want them to call your parents. Even though you are now an adult, you will always be a baby in their eye, even now that you are a full adult. So you don't want them calling your parents and telling them, see what your child posted on social media. Hey, those people, they can be very funny. They can be very funny and annoying sometimes. But honestly, sometimes it can be fun, but other times so annoying. Like these people, they just care in their own way. Trust me, they actually care. They are doing those things because they care. But sometimes it seems as though they are overstepping, my guy. And there is this other thing I noticed about relatives and social media. We have our aunties and uncles on Facebook. We have our cousins and nephews, nieces, distant relatives on TikTok. It's not like these people are not in all these other apps, no, but this is where we connect with them. But here's the thing. This your uncle, this your auntie, they sent you a friend request 3 months ago. Why have you not accepted that request? You want to pretend like you have not seen the request. They sent you this request in September or October, but you have not still accepted their request. And you know the reason why you have not accepted their request. You are trying to keep them at bay. You are trying to distance yourself a bit from them because you don't want them to overstep. Because these people, they can overdo. Shh, wait. I'm not saying you should accept it. Come closer. I'm not saying you should accept it. If you think it's the best thing for you, I beg, leave their request there. So we are going to talk about TikTok and Instagram together. TikTok and Instagram, that's where your cousins are because they are not on Facebook again now. Sometimes they're on Facebook, let me not talk down on them because myself, I still use Facebook. Yeah, I know that Facebook is now being viewed as something that is made for old people, but younger people can also enjoy them. It depends on the content you are watching, because almost everybody that is posting on Instagram is extending it to Facebook also. But I understand why you don't like it. Your cousins and your other relatives, they are on Instagram and they're on TikTok. You know all the trends that they are participated in because you are following them. You are one of their top fans. You are following them, but they don't know you are following them. They might actually be following you without you knowing. That's unless you have very few followers. Speaking of followers, please, if you're not already following the show on Instagram, do well to follow the show on Instagram. The link is in the description. And back to what we are talking about. How many times have I drifted away like this now? Thank God I didn't go so far. I remember what we were talking about. This is what we are talking about. Our cousins and our other relatives that are on TikTok and Instagram. You know the trends that they have been following, Abby. You know that they have participated in every challenge that has come this year. Is it still called challenge? It's now called trend, Abby. Viral trend. The thing is, you know everything they have participated in, every online challenge that they have been in, you know it. But here you are meeting them in the village. These are your aunties, your uncles, your cousins, and your other relatives. You are meeting them and you are pretending like you don't know what they have been up to. A few times you try to pretend as if you know what they have been up to. And that's the funny thing. You are pretending like you don't know what they have been up to. When you know what they have been up to, you get it. So the thing is to pretend like you have not been engaging with whatever they have been doing, even though you have been engaging massively. Like you have been consuming a lot of their content. But now you want to pretend like you are not so much into those things. Be like, Sharon, what have you been up to throughout the year? Meanwhile, you know that she has participated for every trend that has been on TikTok. Please, who are you kidding, Rebecca? Who are you kidding? I know that you have been following her. She has been on your For You page. Most of the things you are seeing on For You page is actually coming from Sharon. Why are you kidding yourself, Auntie Rebecca? Why? Why now? And then for the ones that you want to pretend like you know what they have been up to, you try to build some kind of made-up gist based on things that have trended along the year. You try to bring up the conversation, remember when something happened, that celebrity got married. Remember when this and this happened? Who are you kidding? We all knew when it happened. But anyway, I applaud you guys for the effort, honestly. People that can do small talks, I applaud you guys so much, honestly, because it's stressful. It's very, very stressful to try and reconnect, seriously. Another funny thing that happens is that after this initial meetup and the gist and all these things, sometimes things goes back to default. Like after the first 3 days, there is 24th, there's 25th, then 26th. On 25th, you are excited for Christmas. Everybody is very happy, But jokes aside, there is something about Christmas that makes us feel like everything has to be extra. Extra food, extra Christmas decoration for people that do it, extra spending. Like, let's talk about this extra spending, which is our second thing to discuss. This pressure to overspend. Christmas is not just a celebration. It's an unspoken competition. Who bought the fanciest clothes? Who bought the most expensive jewelry? And all those things. And then there is the impulse buying. Buying things that are just, for the moment, you feel like, I'm going to need this thing in Christmas. I'm going to need to show off this thing that I have added to cart. I've added this thing to cart for like the past 11 months. It was in January that I added this thing to carts. I really need to buy it. Yes, I need to buy it so that I can show these people that I'm not just your regular cousin. I'm your cousin with steez, you get. I want to stay up there. You get what I'm trying to say. You get what I'm trying to say. Sometimes you even have to switch your accent, but let's not talk about that one now. We are going to talk about accents in a future episode. We are going to dedicate an episode to accents. But for now, there is the change of accent. You even have to. We know you have this thick conk accent. Like this, your accent is something that somebody doesn't even need to ask you your tribe. This person already figured out your tribe. But now, here you are with people that you are from the same tribe with. You're not trying to fake another accent. Anyway, let's leave the talk about accents and go back to overspending. Just a quick observation. Do you notice how Christmas lights doesn't last? Have you ever used Christmas light that lasted for, let's say, 3 consecutive years? Okay, use them the previous year and now you're using them in the present year. Please, if you have, I need tips. I need tips and tricks. How do you preserve your Christmas lights? Do you remove them from the walls and pack them somewhere, like so that it doesn't get damaged? Sometimes I'll come back the next year and it will not be working properly again. Sometimes it will not even be functioning. That tone that comes with it has already disappeared. It doesn't sing anymore. Like it will not be working again. And it's not like we have been using it all year long. We left it there past Christmas. Now this Christmas it's not functioning again. While we are still talking about the overspending, let's talk about the financial consequences. Sometimes we finish spending this money, we finish overspending, and actually while we're doing it, we forget about January. January seems like square one. It seems like as if we are starting from the beginning again. But don't get me wrong, there are a lot of things we buy in December that seem very, very necessary. Like that seem like things that we really need, and we need them to be able to make the celebration pop. You understand? But sometimes we forget about January. Because hustle starts in January, Abi. I don't know. What do you think? Do you think it's really worth it? Like, I'm curious. I want to know. Do you think the whole overspending thing? Do you think it's like? Do you think it's worth it? Aside from showing off, okay, maybe showing off is enough reason to do it, or is it? Do you think it's enough reason to overspend? Spend outside of something that you could afford normally. The impulse buying. You are buying things that you are likely never going to need for the rest of the year. And it's not even like you are going to keep it for next Christmas. Nah. Because by next Christmas, it's already out of trend. You need to buy another thing. So it's like a continuous cycle, Abi. Please let me know if you think it is worth it. And here's the kicker. We try to spend so much in December, trying to create this perfect holiday that come January, we are left with more than just empty pockets. There's also the strange emotional shifts, like the magic of Christmas just disappeared overnight. Let's talk about the aftermath, which is the third thing. The emotional aftermath, the default mode. The excitement of Christmas, at a point, it just fades away. Of course, if we are being realistic, we shouldn't expect it to last all year long, right? But the way it fades sometimes, it's just magical. We leave people feeling disconnected again. This your cousin who you have been following on TikTok and Instagram all year long, whose participation in all these trends you have been following. You have tried to reconnect with them in Christmas, right? But then after the whole small talks and reconnection, everyone just goes back to default mode. Your uncles and aunties who you pretended like you had a lot to discuss with, they are still in your privacy setting. They are still among the people that cannot see your posts. I mean, it's strange how we spend so much time and money to reconnect during Christmas, only to forget each other by middle of January. And it's understandable to some extent because we are trying to go back to our usual life. And it makes it difficult for us to stay connected. Because remember, Christmas was a holiday. Most people were not working. But now we are back to our usual life. We are now working again. We are back to school. We are studying again. And this is our usual life, right? Every day is not Christmas, just as they say. So we are back to normal life. But I don't know. Do you think maybe we should have tried to maintain some kind of connection more than like how we later left it? Do you think we should have, kept some kind of connection without disconnecting entirely or going back to zero, waiting to reconnect again for the next Christmas? Do you think the whole excitement, the whole how do I say, the whole connection, I guess excitement is the wrong word for this, the whole connection, do you think it was what it's like if we are going to have to go back to zero again? Was it just a thing of the moment? Also, do you think that the expenses, like, they match the joy? In January, you are finished spending, you are finished showing off. Nothing wrong with that. But did the spending, did it meet up with what you wanted it to do? Like, what you wanted it to do for you? We spend these things because we want people to, to grade us, because we grade everybody now. We get almost everyone that comes around us. We're always grading people with numbers. This your spending was 7 out of 10. Of course, we do these gradings in our head. We don't usually say them out. But do you think that this overspending, does it really meet up with your expectation? Like, does it really meet up with what you wanted? Did they accomplish? Yes, I found the word. Accomplish. I don't know. Did it? Are you just trying to convince yourself that it did? Hold on. Let me know. No. Here's my own take, just in case you need to hear it. Just because the decorations come down doesn't mean the Christmas spirit has to fade. What if we could carry that same sense of joy and connection throughout the year? Let's explore how we can make that happen. And that brings us to the fourth one, which is how to keep And that brings us to the fourth one, which is how to keep the Christmas spirit alive. You can skip over to the fifth one if you don't need any suggestion. I would totally understand that. The first thing I would suggest is, why don't we try to make it more memorable yet affordable? Like, try to do things that, the way this whole Christmas connection works is that these people that you're meeting for Christmas, these your cousins, your distant relatives that you're meeting for Christmas, who you are trying to reconnect with, you are trying to have normal people's conversation with them, right? You're trying to connect with them just as you connect with normal people. Like, when I say normal people, I mean your non-relatives. That's the kind of connection. But the reason why it feels extraordinary, you know why? Because you have not connected with them for a while. What if you tried to do something a little more exciting with them? Maybe visit some of those places that you have not visited since you were children. Maybe visit those places that you have only heard of in your village. Those places that you have never visited. You understand? Make memories that will stick. Things that you have not done, like things you have not done. If either of you are the type that knows your way around the village, why don't the other person ask for, if either of you know your way around the village, let's assume that you are celebrating it in the village, why don't you visit that place that you are familiar with, that the other person is not so familiar with in the village? Why don't you visit that place? Maybe just take a walk, just talk. It doesn't need to be any form of artificially made up talk. No, you can just talk about normal things. Just those normal talks, those normal conversations you are having with them. Do you understand? Those normal people's conversation that you're having with them, why not have it with them in other places? Instead of just sitting in the sitting room and just be discussing the same old gist, why don't you talk about those things with them in significant places? That's my suggestion. The second one is maybe instead of trying to make things to be exaggerated, instead of trying to impress, is there a way, like, can you think of any way that you could make it affordable and yet memorable? I can't seem to come up with anyone right now, and I would appreciate if you have any suggestions on how to do this. The email address is in the description. So we've talked about keeping the Christmas spirit alive in practical ways, but what about the bigger picture? Which brings us to the fifth and final section, which is the bigger picture. It's kind of similar to keeping the Christmas spirit alive, which was our last section, which was the last section that we just discussed. I really want to emphasize on the beauty of the season. I think we should reimagine Christmas in Nigeria. Maybe we can try to redefine Christmas in a way that works for our families and our budgets. Maybe we can blend traditional Christmas celebrations with modern ones, and I'll really appreciate suggestions. When we hear about traditions like Thanksgiving traditions and Christmas traditions, it seems like a Western thing. A lot of Nigerian families, I don't know if they have family tradition that is relatable to this our Nigerian atmosphere, maybe just within the family or maybe within the community. And that brings us to the fifth session, which is the bigger picture. It's similar to keeping the Christmas spirit alive, but I think we should try to redefine Christmas in a way that works for ourselves, our families, and our budgets. And just as I said before, try and create memories that are lasting. I know that that's part of what helps to bond people together. Family traditions, inside jokes, these are the things that make people come closer and also to stay closer, not just connect and disperse. No, connect and stay connected. In my community, we have our community day, which is on 28th of December. Whenever I attend, I see faces that I don't even know are members of our community. It's going to be on 28th. Our own is going to be on 28th of December. So I'm still going to see new faces. And hopefully, get to connect with some of them and keep the connection going. Christmas is what we make of it. Whether it's about family, tradition, or just taking a break from the madness of everyday life. It's a season that reminds us what truly matters. To wrap up the episode, I would like to go over it again, the various things that we discussed. The first one was the fun side of Christmas. The second one was the pressure of overspending and how we should minimize it, of course. The third one was the emotional aftermath. The fourth one was how to keep the Christmas spirit alive. The fifth one, which was the last one, is the bigger picture, creating our own definition of Christmas. So, what would Christmas feel like if we focus less on spending and more on connection? Maybe we'll find the real gift of the season in the people we share it with, right? Or maybe not. And here is my curious question. What's your idea of a perfect Christmas? People talk about perfect weddings all the time. I guess it's because everyone expects their anticipated wedding to be their last wedding. But it's not a bad thing if we can create in our mind what the perfect Christmas means to us. And also, what's your definition of overspending in Christmas? Is it when you spent more than you can afford? Or when you spend and you were not able to accomplish whatever reason was behind your overspending? Head to your email app and send me your feedbacks. scocpod@outlook.com. Again, SCOC, as in sometimes curious, often confused. scocpod@outlook.com. And just as I mentioned earlier, if you're not following the show already, please follow on Instagram @scocpod. And until next week, Stay curious and Merry Christmas.